Hi, I'm Gil Benbrook from Phoenix Stages and TalkingBroadway.com, and I'm here with the cast of Shrek from Arizona Broadway Theatre, Jason Simon, Liz Fallon, and Deonte Warren. So why don't we just start talking about the show itself? So Shrek is obviously an extremely well-known title. A big movie series turned into a big Broadway musical. So Jason, for people who don't know what Shrek is about, what would you tell them that this show is about?
I like to say that this show is about outcasts and learning how and where you fit in the world, and that as far away and as much of an outcast as you might feel, there's always a place for you. And I feel like that's the overall message of this show, that no matter what, there's a place for you and you'll fit in somewhere. It's just about finding the right puzzle.
And letting your freak flag fly.
Exactly. Being proud of those differences.
Yeah. So Liz, why do you think Shrek is so popular?
I think, to start the movie, so that was a huge success. I also think, I'm sure the guys can tell you too, now that it's on Netflix, I've been surprised about the amount of kids who have come up and their parents say, oh, we watch this on Netflix all the time. So that's been interesting.
And what you're talking about is they filmed the Broadway movie,
musical,
which is on Netflix.
So not just the cartoon. So I think that creates a bigger fan base. Thanks, Netflix. But I also think it's a hilarious show. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of highbrow comedy, so the adults are going to be kept interested. And then there's a lot of lowbrow comedy, burps and farts, which are always funny. So I think it's just a really good night at the theater.
A good mix, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sort of attracts kids of all ages.
And it has a lot of heart too, so it's not just...
You're jumping ahead to my question.
I'm so sorry. Just leading you in.
Okay. So obviously you guys play the three leads, Shrek, Fiona, and Donkey. So why don't you just tell a little bit about your character in one sentence or less?
Shrek is the ultimate outcast, the guy who starts with even his parents being like, you're an outcast, get used to it. And eventually is the one, the show is his journey, but it's mirrored in what happens with Princess Fiona and even what happens with Donkey himself, that it's all about finding your place in the world.
Okay, Liz?
So Fiona's been locked in a tower most of her life, also, an outcast since the age of 7. I think her journey is she has a very specific way that she thinks things are supposed to go. And it's about kind of for her accepting what life throws at you, and maybe it's not always going to be what you think, but you might find something even greater, and being true to yourself.
And Donkey?
Donkey's the coolest. Donkey is probably, I would say, in my opinion, the biggest heart in the show. And he is a larger than life personality, and he just is always himself at all times, unapologetically and purely. And there's a beautiful innocence about him that just allows him to just love and laugh and be a light wherever he is, and I think that's what I love most about him.
Okay. Now, I know that you guys, none of you played these parts before.
No.
So did you have any trepidation on taking on not only these identifiable characters, but well known by, the people the voiceover people who did them in the movie? But also, it's not your typical, you were just hearing Fiddler on the Roof. It's not this typical Rodgers and Hammerstein kind of musical. It's this musical, musical comedy, obviously. So any concerns about that?
The very first time when I was offered the show, I of course said yes because I love ABT, and it was a great opportunity, and so I was like, great, so let's research the show. So I looked into it and I saw the Broadway show, and they sent me the script, and I looked at the script and I was like, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? Because
and that was before you did the costume fitting.
Exactly. Before any of that, I was like, oh man, what did I get myself into? And on top of that, Eddie Murphy is one of those people who just puts his stamp on anything he does, and so the very
and probably more so than the other characters.
Oh yes,
yeah,
oh yes. Everybody knows Eddie Murphy, and everybody. It's so funny because so much of his particular dialogue from the movie ended up in the script
Mm-hmm.
because he put that much of a stamp on it, and so I was really nervous about that, and one of the first things that I did was just to make sure try not to recreate that.
Well, I think all three of you did a great job of not doing a carbon copy imitation, not only of the movie, but also of, like you said, it's on Netflix, of the original Broadway cast. So, kudos to you guys on that.
I feel like that was one of those big things, because I've always been a Mike Myers fan, like since the early SNL days for him. But to also know that the part was originally given to Chris Farley and based off him,
right?
And then Mike took over after Chris passed, and then to take it one step further and know that then vocally, singing wise, it's off to the amazing Brian Darcy James, and you're like, okay, no pressure. But it's a character that I've always, in my heart, had a really great connection to, so I was very excited about jumping into the waters with it.
Okay. And Liz, what about you?
I mean,
Cameron Diaz,
Sutton. Cameron is great, but Sutton is.
Sutton Foster, who was in the original Broadway cast.
Yes, so that was a little intimidating, but there's so much to connect with these characters. So as long as you have that general skeleton of what they are, I feel like there's a lot of room to play with them. So they've definitely become our own, and
Okay.
So yes, it was a little intimidating, but you get over that once you start playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So were there any big changes that you guys made to the way you're portraying the character during the rehearsal process?
Yeah, especially because of Mace Archer, our director, had a really great process in that he allowed us so much room to explore and play, and then guided us from there. And I feel like the way I was approaching Donkey wasn't nearly as high energy, or he didn't flip around as much, and I was trying to let the text be my energy, and he added a lot more physicality to the character, falling and tripping and running and doing all these things that I wouldn't have thought of, and they gave so much life to it.
Oh yeah.
And it just gave him so much life, and heart. So I love that.
And what about you guys? Any big changes?
He really focused on the bipolarness of Fiona, which is just one little line in the beginning of the show, but that really became a lot of fun to play with. You also think she's been alone for how many years, so there was no discipline. She doesn't know not to throw tantrums like a kid, so that was a lot of fun to play with. Why does she flip, and how does she flip so fast? And so that was a lot of discovery for me in rehearsals with the bipolarness.
Right, and that's stuff that's not in the script, right?
Right.
It's all just
it's just text, but why does she go up and down? And,
right.
Yeah.
Jason?
Mine wasn't that different, but I think that's also because being the title character, there's a lot more.
Does he make you guys feel bad about that he's the title character and you guys?
No, because this one steals the show every chance he gets, and this one comes out right in the opening and it's like, no, we're going to make this about us.
Don't get it twisted.
But with it being called Shrek the Musical and it based off of Shrek the movie and the original storybook, the majority of Shrek's stuff is really laid out.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that kind of carries the story along. And these two just kind of revolve around in a cyclone around him as he gets dizzy.
No,
but
he had said he wanted him to be the constant, so that makes our highs and lows should be even bigger, so he is more of the rock.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so favorite moment in the show? Liz?
Oh, man. That's really hard. That's really
I'm sure
hard.
probably changes all the time.
It
too.
does.
It
does.
does.
I really love Morning Person because that's a lot of fun. But Got You Beat, it's that chunk of the show.
Yeah.
The beginning of Act 2, I get to burp and fart on stage. It's just a blast. I love it.
And what about you guys?
For me, it's two parts. It's the end of Act 1. Because there's a song called Who I'd Be, and it's really the first big time in the show where we get to see a crack in the armor for Shrek protecting himself and being the big angry ogre, and he finally kind of opens up to Donkey and lets things happen. And then the second one is, I think I Got You Beat, because you get to fart and burp on stage, and it's also great fun because that whole section is a wonderful like chemistry build for our two characters, and a lot of playing off each other and playing off of him. And then this one, you know, if you come see the show like a second time, don't even watch us during that part. Just watch this one, because his no, he's not. But he's just
so
his
on.
reaction and what is going on with him at times, you know, it just makes you want to go, would you stop? You're distracting me. Stop it. But yeah, that's one of the best times in the show.
That's fun.
Okay, so let's talk about the costumes. So, so how long does it take to get into the makeup?
The makeup and full costume is about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay. And what about you?
We start at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, do they ever, you know, feel jealous of you because you don't have?
Nope,
such a
never.
costume?
Not once.
We all have our unique challenges.
We don't have to dance in a corset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
We don't have
a
to
lot
tap
of
dance in
fun.
a corset.
My skirt is beautiful. And it's really great. I love it. I do. But it's also pretty heavy, and is its own character in the show. It's now named Skirtzilla, because it decides to just
Do things.
fall off a lot of times. So
Makes it not exactly a children's show. But
yeah, well, it's after I have a skirt underneath. It's
Right,
always
okay.
during Got You Beat.
Got
But
it.
Yeah.
it has its own unique challenges, and the quick change at the end is also
Yeah. That, I will say that is the one
30
nice
seconds
thing.
of fun.
The one nice thing for the two of us is that we don't have any.
No changing.
There's no costume changes for the two of us.
It's so good.
It's just-
But once you're in the costume, you're in.
Once
the
yeah,
costume.
once you're strapped in, you're strapped in for
Yeah.
the
Not
for
me.
the ride.
I go in and out.
He goes, who are you kidding?
I drink about a gallon of water throughout the show.
Oh, so
And
you
so
guys
all
have
of
to
us
get
do.
so
Oh,
hot.
yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of using the restroom every chance I get. So
Yeah.
I'm in and out of it as much as I can.
That and he's got some nice little ice pack
Yeah,
pockets.
ice
you
packs,
do?
ice
In the front
packs
back.
in
What about
my.
you? Do you have anything
No.
to do to keep you cool?
No.
You're just winging it. You're
Yeah.
you're just okay. Okay. So, and I'm sure when you guys have 2 show days, it must be. Are you counting down the minutes until you can get the costume off, or?
No, because I feel like that will make it longer. The best thing about this show is once it starts, there's no thinking about anything else. Especially for all of us and the 3 of us. Once we enter, once you hit the stage, there's no time to think about anything else because you're just going.
And it is so much fun.
It is.
It really
It's a
it's one of
journey,
those
right?
it's
Not
one of those
just for the
things
audience, for you
where
guys.
it's one of the few times I truly feel I get to say I get paid to play dress up and pretend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you get into the costume and you may get to work and be like, I don't really want to do this today. And the moment you get everything on and you're like, okay, we're gonna do this, and you get out there, it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You may not want to go on it, but the
Yeah.
moment it starts and takes off,
You're having
you're
fun
on it
with
for the
it.
whole time and you love the ride.
And it's such a good team. We have such
Yeah.
a good,
Great
team to play with. So there's always something new, and there's a new little kid in the audience who's laughing at something different, and that gives you energy.
Or even talking.
Yeah.
Oh, she's mad at you now.
Oh, that was
my
my favorite.
She's my personal favorite was there was a little kid down the house left, and they there's a moment where I tease him because I'm seeing the chemistry between Shrek and Fiona, and and I said my line about them liking each other, and this little kid goes, ew. That's one of the things.
Little do they know what was to come later.
That's one of the things that gets me the most when I don't feel like doing it, when I'm exhausted and I'm tired. Once you come out here and you see those bright little faces and you feel all that energy coming from these incredible audiences up to you, you have no choice but to give them everything you have.
Yeah.
And you have fun doing it.
I will say one of the cool things that I wasn't expecting because of what we talked about earlier, where how well known Shrek is. There is a generation gap with, for some reason there's like a group of people that are like 35 and over that were just part of a select group of people that just never saw this.
Really?
And some of them are people that their kids were too old to take to it, so they never saw it, and now they're seeing it for the first time. Some of them were just not into that type of stuff when they were younger, and so it's really interesting to be out in the lobby afterwards and hear people that were like, oh my gosh, I'd never seen this before. That was really, I'm glad that we came, because I wasn't going to come see this.
Well, I guess it makes sense because even though there were 4 movies,
if you don't have kids
Yeah.
or you didn't
There's
start
no-
with the first one,
Yeah.
there's no reason for you to continue
Go back.
on that journey.
And you don't realize how much of it there is for adults.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not just
Yeah.
a kid show.
Yeah.
definitely. All right, so all three of you have acted at theaters across the country, and you were just in Festival Whorehouse here. Before that, you were in Fiddler on the Roof. So you were Tevye, you were Sweet Charity last year in Charity. I know it's been a few years since you were here last in Tarzan, but what is it about ABT? I mean, Liz, I ask you, what is it about ABT that keeps you coming back, and about, why is it different than the other theaters you've been in?
It's such a family here, and that's my favorite part. All aspects of this theater make you feel so comfortable and welcome. It's so professional, and it's just, they hire amazing people to work with, and it's just a great time. There's not a lot of stressors, and they're very supportive, and I'm happy to be here. It's like my little Arizona home.
Even when it's 115 degrees.
Yeah,
in the summer.
that part was fun to find out. But no, it's worth it. It's a blast.
Okay, so I know before we talked about this being a show, not only is it a fun show, but it has a big heart. So you talked about having a heart. So what else do you want to say about that? And what do you want audiences to take away from this show, basically?
That they can be themselves 100% and love the quirkiest things about them. And I think that's one thing, that's an area that all of us, work on all the time. And it's so fun to be someone on stage who doesn't even think about being anything other than donkey. And to see it, and to see the effect that the character has on people is just so beautiful, and the effect that he's had on me personally is wonderful as well. So I just hope that people take away from our show that they can, love themselves for who they are and love the quirks in other people. And we all aren't meant to be the same. We all look different, we act different, we smell different. And it's fine, it's great, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. And that's the way it's meant to be.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, guys. So Shrek the Musical at Arizona Broadway Theatre through August 14th. Thanks.